happens, we would have notified Petroleum that, of course, officially, that we are expecting a consignment of X metric tons. And with that notification comes with an application for unit space. Now, Petroleum would revert back to us based on the availability and advise acceptance of the space. Once that is done, a tripartite communication channel will be established between Petroleum, Gnpc, and the trader. And Gnpc will furnish Petroleum with all the documents that they need. And paramount among those documents are the certificate of quality, certificate of analysis, the certificate of origin, which is also very important, and any other shipping documents relevant. So Petroleum would do their due diligence, and then once we receive a clean bill of health, we'll notify our supplier, and then the supplier will advise on the delivery dates, and the Petroleum would work towards that. And when the vessel arrives, it goes to berth, and then the product would be received. But even prior to that, products would have been tested, and the test would just try to ascertain what is obtained on the certificate of that we are given audit, and then a certificate will be issued to Gnpc for the consignment, and that product will be in our trader account. So Gnpc would start drawing from that product for our own internal consumption, and then when we have potential customers in this case are predominantly oil marketing companies who wouldn't have imported on their own. So this is one scenario. Then you have another scenario wherein Gnpc will buy product in tank at the depot. So it has always been the practice that traders bring in their product and then dump it at the depot, and that is in country, and then OMCs would now buy directly from the traders, and then when that is done through what is called an ITT, that's an in-kind transfer. In this case, we are not a trader, but we are an OMC.
Two scenarios. Which one do you do the most? As a trader or as an OMC? Which of the two do you normally do the most?
Well, it depends on the prevailing circumstances and also the pricing available, and as well, I think the underpinning factor is also the access to finance, because if you want to bring in product, the petroleum distribution and marketing in this country is liberalized. And what that means is that we are not a monopoly. So in certain circumstances, one company or an entity could have been nominated as an entity, as a monopoly, who will be in charge for all importations. But in this economy, it is liberalized. And what that means is Gnpc can bring a product, the same as Yah Oil, the same as Oryx. So many a times you realize that from an economics of scale perspective, you are better off buying in time if the price is right. Because if you want to bring in your own product, other oil marketing companies are not compelled to buy from you. And it happens very often where you bring in a consignment and Yah Oil would have their own consignment and someone else would have their own consignment. So we will be forced to use the product within our own network. And then you face a lot of the risk of price fluctuations because the oil pricing is based on plots which are internationally defined. Many a times you have a huge consignment and if you don't sell fast, the subsequent month prices can go down and then you suffer tremendous losses. So in order to avoid that, sometimes if product is available in country, we would ordinarily buy what we need within the month in order to eliminate the risk of price fluctuations as well as foreign currency considerations.
Thank you. On your recent statement on page 3, that's point number 3, that's procurement of products from Apogee. On your first bullet point, and that's on page 3, indicated that the Petroleum therefore verified the product to be legitimate. Now, when you are acting as an OMC here, do you do any other verification to ensure that what you are buying actually also matches your standards and also in terms of legitimacy? Do you also check that aspect?
Yes, we do because certainly Petroleum has a checklist on what is acceptable and that entails standards and legitimacy because when it comes to standards, for instance, the country has a product specification outline for both diesel and petrol. And the first test is the product specification within the country threshold. And if it is, they would ordinarily accept the product. And then what we do when we buy product is we also ask for the certificate of analysis because at the level of Gnpc, the most important thing for us is quality. And yes, we may have been buying diesel from other sources, but our own petroleum supplies, we buy directly from outside. I think for the 8 months now, we have been serving as a trader, and there were months that we are the only ones with petrol in this country, and every other person buys from us because we've been known for quality, and even wherein somebody has stock at the depot, we'll also ensure that we know that the quality is the right quality, acceptable as far as the Gnpc is concerned.
All right. Now, outside the specifications, which you would accept based on your own standards, do you go further to confirm certification of origin? When you act as an OMC, for example, somebody has got some products at Petroleum and you need to buy in this aspect, do you go to the extent of checking certificate of origin of those products?
No, we don't, and that is really outside the scope of what we do as an OMC or any other OMC. I think that's predominantly the prerogative of the depot.
Of the depot?
Yes.
No, but what do you think is going to be important as well? Because again, you are the one that's buying. So we do have interest in where we are buying from. Because I know that a few minutes ago you mentioned that quality was of utmost importance to you. And then the second aspect is legitimacy, which is indicated here. Even though Petroleum may be the sole person that's responsible to ensure that the sources come from legitimate sources, but do you think you also, as a buyer, you need to also know where this is also coming from?
Well, I think that is important, but Mr. Honorable Co-Chair, like I said, that would be outside what we do as an OMC and any other OMC. Because as an OMC, what is important to us is the product availability from the depot, and then we are buying in tank. If, for instance, we are a trader, we would ensure that all risks covered, and then we would go further to verify the origin. And as far as I am concerned, there has not been any communication from the policymakers in this country that would even list acceptable product origins. And I'll give you a classical example. Gnpc, as a trader, we've been looking for a very good source of petroleum products. And like I said earlier, fuel prices are based on Platts, international Platts, and all the traditional and conventional traders would attack a very high premium. And because of the high premium, the resulting pump price is always very high. So what we wanted is an opportunity wherein we will cut all the middlemen and then get perhaps directly from the sources. And then in our search, we came across product origins from all over the world. But we went back to see if there is a checklist on which countries we can trade with and which countries we cannot trade with, and there was none to be found. So for us, the only problem we have is the financing, because the financial institutions would have stated the countries that they want to deal with and the countries that they don't want to deal with. But as far as we are concerned, and to the best of my knowledge, we don't have that in the country.
Oh, okay. Now, in terms of now you've been a trader, I know you've confirmed that your knowledge also checks certificate of origin. Why is that important? Why do you want to ensure that you have the certificate of origin to at least tell you something about that particular product? Why is that important?
It is important to us because we, Gnpc, deal with the ITFC of the Islamic Development Bank. They are our financiers, and our financiers have a checklist of project origin destinations that they cannot finance. And then this is why we check that certificate of origin, because we don't want to wait until it is payment date and then the trader decline the payment. But that is different from if we had gotten our own resources. In this case, the certificate of origin wouldn't have been the primary item on our checklist.
All right. So essentially what you are confirming to us as a committee is this. That is, if the products are being purchased from outside, you as a trader, where the funding comes from ITFC, you will have to check certificate of origin. But if you are buying domestically, you don't have to check on that. Is that correct?
Yes, because usually when we Gnpc as a trader, when we buy petroleum products, we have two options on the mode of payment. We can pay by way of our LC lines, and this we have to do with our financiers, in this case IDFC. There are times that we are buoyant. We have cash, dollars in our account. We can remit to the suppliers. In this case, we don't have to go to IDFC. I wish that we don't have to go to IDFC because there is a financing cost attached to buying petroleum products. Because if you look at the interest rate that is you incur you better off paying. Usually when we buy in tank, we don't have to go through the financiers, that's IDFC, because most often than not we have the option of paying in dollars. And many a times we opt for that option based on business needs. And sometimes you may not have the dollars, because when you are dealing with an international financial institution, you have to remit them in dollars. But when you are dealing within the local market, you can remit in dollars.
So essentially, you are confirming that once you are buying locally, the origin of the product doesn't really matter to you much. What matters more to you is the availability and also the pricing.
The availability
and the pricing.
The pricing and the quality.
Okay. Thank you. Now, going to another same section here about your transaction with Apple. You've indicated that you were notified by the Petroleum that there is a trader that has some product for sale. Now, how is this notification done? Is it a letter? Is it an email? Is it a telephone? How are you notified about these traders that actually have availability of some products in country?
You see, where we are at Gnpc, people would approach us from everywhere telling us about product, about who has product, and all that. And many, and most of these notifications are usually through phone calls, or perhaps a staff would walk in, and verbally tell me. But we try to ignore those on what I would call them solicitations. But usually it has been a standing practice that when there is a consignment of product at the depot would always call. They would call us and they tell us that, oh, there is a trader that has product that is available. And for us, Gnpc, many a times that is a life savior, because there is a lot of hassle in sourcing foreign currency, in trying to buy from outside. So when we have somebody who has product in the country, many a times it is a blessing. So what we do is we have a database of companies that we send in requests for quotations of products. So if somebody has product in the country, we just add that entity or concern in our database. And when we are sending out requests for quotations, we include them in the request. And then when their pricing happens to be competitive, then we can conclude business transactions with them. But we are not compelled to buy from whoever has product in them.
Thank you very much. Can you take us through your procurement process, domestically or internationally? How do you do the process of procuring these products?
Thank you very much. What we do is we would ordinarily nominate the quantity that we want on a monthly basis for both ADO, that is diesel, and then petrol. And with the database that we have, the procurement manager would have prepared an RFQ form detailing the quantity and the delivery period, and then send out to all the companies that are operating within and outside the country. And then we'll have a timeline for submission. And then usually if it is a month-on-month RFQ, we would have given at least a week, because we all know that even in the petroleum sector, 1 hour can be a little bit too long, but we'll always give out 1 week to ensure that it reaches to all the addresses. And we have a procurement email, and all prospective suppliers would have sent to the procurement email based on what our requirements are, and that is the pricing. So then we will have a bid opening, and the contracts committee will meet for the bid opening. and the email would be the email account will be open, and then all submissions will be reviewed, and then based on the delivery timelines and pricing. Of course, pricing is always the cornerstone of all our procurement activities, and then we award and give to the most responsive bidder.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, as an OMC, when you are buying your products, do you buy from anyone? Or do you check whether, one, they are licensed to operate in the country, or you just send out the bidding and then whoever responds, then you buy from there? Are there any requirements when you are buying?
Well, what we do is we send out the RFQs, and then if people have product in tank in the country, and then they participate, and the pricing is right, we buy from them. But I'll be very honest to say that we don't go further to check on their licensure and everything else, because for us, we believe that that is beyond the scope of what we do.
Yes. Do you follow the GPPA 2023 regulations when you are doing procurement?
Yes, we do.
And what are some of the requirements when you do an RFQ or when you tender? What are some of the requirements that you need to take a look at?
I have my procurement expert.
Yeah.
Perhaps he can help with that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. As per the 2022 Act, Section 21, subsection 2M, exempted Gnpc from following the GPPA procedure in procurement fuel. But the reason why we go forward to get into that is because we cannot just identify one individual supplier to say he is the most responsive. So we engage other suppliers to see who has the best price, better price for us when it comes to the procurement of energy. But in essence, we are not obliged to follow the new procedure in procurement fuel.
Okay. So meaning when you send out the RFQ or a tender, whoever comes your way, based on the pricing, based on the list time frame, you are okay with that?
Yes.
So there is no other check that you have to do?
But we have our evaluation criteria. One of them could be you have to, the specification will have to be in line with the country specification. We might also look for the delivery period that you have to send in the delivery product. And another thing could be the payment terms. How do you want us to pay you? Do you want us to pay you in pencil form or in cash or any other thing? Of course, we don't just leave it open that way. We have to look for our own evaluation criteria that favors us as an institution.
So you don't check whether those companies actually have registered with GPPA, or you also don't check whether those companies actually have registered as a company in the country. You don't check any of those.
Well, the registered with GPPA, no, we don't check, because as I stated earlier, so if petroleum product or trade-related products like petroleum is exempted from applying for GPPA, so we don't go forward to ask for the GPPA.
Can you tell us the section you mentioned again on the GPPA?
Is section 20. Just section 21M, 2M.
Can you read the section?
It says, okay, if I may make reference to section 21.2, this act shall not apply to and you have A up to M. The M that affects us is procurement of trade-related products of some state-owned enterprises.
So based on that clause,
Yes.
you don't check any other thing.
Mr. Co-Chair, I think it's also wanted to note that the traders that we buy for Gnpc have been buying petroleum products from even as an OMC operating from outside the country, and then once you buy from in-time, the depot is seen as a bonded warehouse. Because yes, we bought product from Aboje, but we bought product from Traffic Control. All these companies are international traders, and they have no reason to register with GPPA in this country, because once product is at the depot, onus is now on us to ensure that we buy the product, we deliver within our stations or whoever we are selling to, and then we pay the applicable taxes.
Yes, thank you. Are you familiar with the anti-money laundering laws in this country?
Well, to some degree, yes. But what is important to us, like I said earlier, we are buying product from in-time, and if we are buying product in-time, we would have gone through a very transparent procurement process, and then we remit payments to the nominated accounts given to us by the supplier, and to us, you know, we would have, as an institution, we would have checked every item on our list.
So essentially, in terms of your business dealing with other traders, due diligence is not an issue to you. And can we say that?
No, the due diligence is paramount. Due diligence is paramount, and like I said, the Apogee transaction happened because the product was available, and you know, at the material time we were getting a competitive price or competitive pricing, and for I think a prolonged period of time they have been the principal responders anytime we have done RFQ. I think this was for an 8-month period.
Yes. With your interaction with Apogee, do you know whether they were registered locally or they were not registered? Do you have any idea?
No, we have no idea.
Now, how about the other traders that you deal with in the past? Do you check whether they have a license to do trading, or do you check any of those things?
No, because virtually all the traders that we have been dealing with in the past are international.
So
just like Apogee.
Okay, so you don't deal with any OMC in the country?
We deal with OMCs in this country, and the way our business transactions are broadly and systemically, because there are times that Gnpc has stock and Oil wouldn't have stock, and they'll approach us and we sell to them and vice versa.
Thank you. Now, coming back to your relationship with other institutions, for example, with the Ministry of Petroleum, can you tell us your relationship with the ministry?
Well, the ministry has an oversight function of Gnpc, and Gnpc is a parastatal, is a public corporation that is under the ministry, under the oversight functions of the ministry prior. So the ministry gives us policy direction.
Now, how about Ministry of Finance?
The Ministry of Finance is any other legally constituted ministry. We deal with the Ministry of Finance because when it comes to our line of financing, the Honorable Minister of Finance signs all the agreements, and GNPC would have been nominated as an executing agent. And this is our relationship with the Minister of Finance in terms of ITFC financing, where of course they also sit on our board.
Do they provide any guarantees on you, or that is not done by your banks?
We've not had any reason or occasion to go to them for any form of guarantees.
So how about paying dividend to you?
Yes, because GNPC is a government entity, and when we have got into that level, the board would have decided on what amount to retain and what amount to pay out as dividend.
Now, how about when you act as a trader, do you sell to other oil overseas outside the Gambia?
That has been our wish, not just OMCs, because a few months ago we constituted a team that visited Mali, and then we wanted to enter the re-export trade. And then with that, our focus is to be able to come up with volumes, and with these volumes we hope that we'll be able to get products based on economics of scale, get favorable pricing and enter the Malian market. And this has been our dream, and to this day, to this morning, we are working on it.
Okay, thank you. Now, in terms of your pricing, whether you are an OMC or a trader, does any of those two ministries, Petroleum or Finance, play any role in determining your pricing, the pricing of your products?
It is relative, because when it comes to the final pump price, if that is what you are referring to, there is a pricing committee that comes up with the price structure at the beginning of every month, and the pricing committee will look at the average Platts, international Platts, based on a particular formula, and then come up with the final pump price. So the Ministry of Finance, Minister of Energy, and PURA would have a stake on that.
Thank you. A few minutes ago, you also mentioned that you have a stake in Petroleum of also like 12.9%. That's correct? 12.9%, right?
Yes.
Yes. Have you been receiving any dividends from them?
In the recent years, not.
How is their operation? Because I know you invested to be able to get something back.
Yeah.
And 12.9% is significant shareholding. In terms of your return on your investments, where are we if you are not getting anything back from them?
Well, I said in recent years, that's the risks that's associated with investments, particularly long-term investment. There are heydays when you can receive considerable returns, let me put it that way. And there are also lean days, but we hope that heydays will be ahead of us, and then we'll receive the returns of our investment.
Thank you very much. Now, in your submission here on page 4, I've seen a list of invoices and the quantity. Total 8.850 metric tons. Are you confirming that this is what you've purchased from Apollo?
Yes.
Now, have you had any business dealing with Grid Energy?
No.
Nothing. How about Ultimate BH Logistics?
No.
Nothing.
No.
So as of result, the only one you can give as far as this investigation is concerned is Apogee that you dealt with 8.850 metric tons.
Yes, Apogee.
Now, we want to be clear also, because we are doing an investigation, and in some situations we see Apogee In some situations we see ultimate wage apology, and in some situations we see create energy apology. So which one did you deal with?
Yes, you see, we are very conscious of what we call the audit trail. We've been dealing with apology, and anytime we send RFQs, we send to apology. The very first invoice, if you look at, I believe, Annex 1 of my submission, the very first invoice you have ultimate page, and that was the but then the RFQ was sent to apology. You see, when we saw ultimate page, our procurement manager was instructed to write back to them to clarify why are we getting an ultimate page invoice and it is apology. So they clarified to us that that is a business in the Gambia, and that is the instruction that they are giving us. We have the documentary evidence. It was communicated by email. Because for us, the most important thing is the payment instructions. We dealt with Apogee, and then Apogee gave us this account to pay. But that was the very first transaction. But if you look at all the other subsequent 8 or so invoices, were all Apogee.
Now, can we have that correspondence that you had in getting the clarification? I'm not sure if there's an email still.
Yes, we have it.
It's available, yeah. Now, yes, I've seen the inquiry here, where you made, it was sent to Mr. Boris Mas, where we have realized that the account name on the invoice is Ultimate Wage Apology FZC, and on top of the invoice it is Apology FZC. Is it okay to make payment on Ultimate Wage Apology FC? And then they responded, saying that it has placed reaffirmed that the account Ultimate Wage Apology FC is the right account to receive payments on the invoice. Is this normal?
Well, it depends on the receiving entity, because for us, what is the most important thing is we've had an arm's length transaction with Apogee. And when we have any business relationship with anybody, particularly within the source of this country, you nominate an account where we remit payment, and then that is known. And if you realize, even all the subsequent invoices, we insisted that it has to be Apogee, and we paid yes. Apogee.
Exactly. No, I can see that.
Yeah, but the very first time, we didn't just go and pay. We had to ask for clarification so that we get the affirmation from the supplier.
So essentially, you were of the view that there may be something wrong, and that's why you sent the email
yes.
to get the confirmation.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but then the first one, but then our subsequent ones, it wasn't like it was sent to Apogee. Now, the Apogee on what bank account was that sent? Was it outside the Gambia or inside the Gambia?
Inside the Gambia.
And what they gave was Apogee only, nothing else.
No, if you look at the invoices, all the invoices said Apogee.
Thank you, Andy. I just want to look at the consistency in terms of the letterhead of the invoice.
already the first one, as you rightly said, is ultimate value logistics.
Yes.
So I am looking at the correlation between the last stage where you have approach limited gambling. How is it correlated to approach FZE? And there are areas where we have approach FZC. So you have a lot of inconsistencies when you look at that. The first one, let's start with the first page, the first receipt. You have ultimate net logistic. The second one, you have approach FZC. The third one, approach FZC. The fourth one, the same. The fifth one, the same. And you have the seventh one, approach FZE. And the last one, you have approach limited gambling.
Okay, like I said, the first payment that came said ultimate page, and we tried to seek clarification, and the trader did indicate that we can go ahead with the payment, which we did. Subsequently, all the invoices said approach FZE. I believe it was the very, very last one, the last transaction we did with them in March, which says Apogee Gambia Limited. You are right.
How about Apogee FZE?
Yes, you are right, because the Apogee that we've known has always been Apogee FZE on their letterhead.
FZE or E?
FZE. FZE.
But all these are C's, FZE, about 5 to 6 invoices.
Yes, I think the FZE is the one that we have seen on their letterheads. FZC.
FZE or C?
C.
C.
Yeah.
Okay, but this one is E, and the other one is 2. And if I look at their account name,
with the annex only provided to us.
Yes.
Okay. Can we number the pages so that we are all the same one? So the first page says page 1, and page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Are we clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you look at page 7, the one we have page 7, that has Apogee FZC.
No, we don't have it. We have a copy.
Okay, then they copy that. If you look at page 7, on top, that's the commercial invoice. You have Apogee FZC. But then in the payment, you have banker's name, Eco Bank Gambia Limited, for the Tukaraba Avenue, and it gives you 3 different account numbers, USD, GMD, and Euro. But then the account is Ultimate Wage Apogee FZC. So the invoice name and the name of the customer and EcoBank is not the same. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So it seems actually it has actually continued. The first one you've made a query just to confirm that it's the same thing. But it seems if you go further, the commercial invoice remains the same, but then the bank payments you have a different name.
Well, I have seen that, and I think anybody would overlook the C and then the E. You know, one really has to pay close attention to detect it. I would have corrected it if it was timely detected. For me, the most important thing was the name, which was the apology. Of course, I know FZC is different from FZE, but like I said, if we had detected it, it would have been corrected.
No, I'm talking about this one. The payment is for ultimate page apology, FZC.
Yes.
It's a completely different name. Because if you got the conversation, it was on page 7.
Yes.
It says apology FZC on page 7. That's the conversation was dated 10th January 2024 on top. And the total invoice was $1,335,000. Are we together?
Yes.
On top is telling you apology FZC, but if you look at the payment, the EcoBank is ultimate page apology FZC. These are completely different names.
Yeah, you are very right. It's correct.
So what happened here?
I think there was an oversight.
Now, if you go to the following page, which is page 8. Actually, it's page 9, which is dated 5th of March 2024. Total invoice was 65,417,000. Are we together?
Yes.
You see on top, it says Apology Limited Gambia. And then the account name is Apology Limited. Okay, no, that's fine. Yes, if we page on page number 4, the Inconsistency invoice dated 2nd of October 2023, value $1,620,000. You see that the EcoBank, there are 3 account numbers, USD, GMD, and Euro. But then the account name is Ultimate Page Apology, completely different. So something actually happening here.
Mr. Co-Chair, the correction we sought at the very beginning was to ensure that the invoices that we are paying reflect apology, because we are buying from apology. But the name or the bank name, because when you go to the bank, you know there are 2 identities. You have your account number and your account name. If the account name is Ultimate Page, even where the invoice is apology, it would still be Ultimate Page. And we know that because the account numbers did not change from one transaction to the other. But the clarification that we tried to seek was, is it normal? Is it okay for us? Because the invoice is saying Ultimate Page, and the response we got was that the Ultimate Page is the same as apology. And that was comforting after the email correspondence.
No, you call somebody Alain Usman Bey and Usman Bey, they are not the same thing. They are not. If I have an ID card that says Alain Usman Bey and Usman Bey ID card, it's not the same thing.
That's true.
So that's exactly what's happening here.
That's very true.
Because the invoice is saying apology, which is fine, which is Usman. But then you come and add Alain to it, then you have completely different entities. Because when you register a company, you have a name. There's nothing like a nickname for a company. Like that. I could be called John, whatever, it's fine. But when you register, when you open the account at the bank, the name, by the way, I was in the banking industry as well. So when you register, you give out your certificate of incorporation that has a very clear name on it, then the bank's open an account for you. And in fact, when you send any transfer in the country, outside the country, once you give that instruction to the bank will ask you for an invoice, which should match the other side. In fact, if you send a SWIFT without difference in name, that will be wrong.
That's true. That I know.
Yes. So in this instance, I can appreciate the first you made an inquiry to confirm.
Yes.
But then it seems the trend actually still continue. In fact, now we completely different names now. But now, from apology, we have ultimately apology also coming into play.
think, Mr. Co-Chair, you are right.
Yes. Now, even if you take on page, dated 7/7/2023, on top. Logistics, then you have ultimately apology. And you've dealt with all of them.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah, and then one of the most interesting thing also, ultimately, that is
They intimated in the email that we sent, ultimately and Apogee have a relationship. Because to me, if you issue me an invoice to remit payment and then you give me account details and it happens to go to a third party that you don't have access to, I cannot understand what kind of transaction is that. You have to have control of wherever you are remitting the funds. So
I'm sorry, ultimately logistics, ultimately Apogee, and then you also have Apogee SSC. And all the bills are going to the same account, and these three different entities.
Well, it is the same account number that we have been paying to, and that was the instruction we received from the trader to remit the funds to.
So now, as a trader, if you issue out an invoice to an OMC and then Gnpc, and then you give a different name for the payment to be made, wouldn't you think that it itself is suspicious? For example, you are Gnpc, you create invoice Gnpc, you send it to somebody else, Petroleum, for example, and then you give him an invoice of $10 million. But then you ask someone, go and pay Landesine Petroleum. Wouldn't that, send a signal to you that there's something abnormal in the situation? Considering the fact that you have very small amount of maybe, OMCs here and traders, and secondly also about, these laws we have in this country called money laundering, anti-money laundering.
Gnpc wouldn't be in the follow a consistent pattern. But as far as our dealings are concerned, like I said, we sent out RFQs to Apogee, and we expected everything to be on Apogee letterhead, and then we remit the payments to their nominated account.
Okay. Now, again, this brings me back to like an hour earlier when I spoke about due diligence, checking who you deal with. So it seems you are dealing with three different entities in three in one. And that's what trigger is you deal with entities that are not registered, but then when they differ invoice, when you make the payment, you pay to a completely different entity. That's the abnormality we have.
Yes, we admitted that we paid to, a company with a different name, but like I said earlier, the most important thing at that time was the payment instruction that we received from the supplier of the petroleum products.
Now, in the past, have you encountered such in the past since 2003? I guess have you encountered any trader like this? They'll give an invoice with one name, but payment will be on a different.
No, we have not.
So this is the first time.
Yes, this is the first time.
All right. Thank you, Richard.
Members, do you have any follow-up questions? Then go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable Chair. This is just one simple question. Were you dealing with any of those local companies, or you were only directly dealing with Apogee?
Local companies as in
maybe Ultimate, Beach Logistic, or Green Energy, any of those. As far as this transaction is concerned,
no, it was Apogee.
it was only Apogee.
It was Apogee.
So, does that mean the instruction was just going from Apogee to which account you deposit their funds?
That's right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, whatever we do.
Yes. Thank you very much. I want to ask MD, in regard to what you said about the transactional base at the depot, where Gnpcs of two, if I'm right, where you serve as an OMC in the other end and also serve as national importer, so a trader. In short way, I want to know of qualities. How do you assess qualities comparable to certain OMCs? For example, I want to know the rationale behind, where you could see sometimes people go to certain OMCs and they don't have a trust of their oil. What else we say, okay, Gnpc is more of. So here you're playing two caps here, where you serve as a trader, or sometimes it wasn't. You may serve as an OMC, in which at the depot, the unit that is done, we want to know the differences in which your depot role in this, if whether you're not conflicted with certain issues in terms of oil or gas production.
Thank you very much, Honorable. We don't have any conflicts here. When I say Gnpc as a trader and Gnpc, as a local OMC, in this case, what I'm referring to is, as a trader, we import. We are involved in the importation of petroleum products, and we distribute. And when we are strictly an OMC in the domestic market, we seek to buy product in tank from whoever has product available. But the bottom line is we are still an OMC in this country. But you talked about quality, and I want to mention that Gnpc has an economic responsibility as well as a social responsibility. Okay, we have an economic responsibility to make money, but we have a social responsibility. If somebody offers us product that we know that is substandard, even where we are going to make a lot of money, we cannot take that product because we want to protect our reputation and also everyone in this country, because Gnpc is owned by each and every one of us. Thank you.
Then also is when you are not trading and you serve as an OMC now, buying within the unit, or if I understand very well, the petroleum cell, where you are no more trading, but you are now an OMC. Where do you get your products from? Is it entirely companies that are trading, you buy from them, or you join to get something? I want to get to understand, because most of the cases you realize that we're talking about quality here. Some people, some of us, we do go to Gnpc to buy fuel. I want to understand the rationale by not trading, getting from the traders, but now OMC which you buy locally. If I may say, what would be the difference in terms of gauging the quality?
Trading is a relative term, because even where we buy product in tank, we can trade the product. Because a classical example is this Apoji transactions. Many a times we buy from Apoji, and product is delivered in tank in our name as an OMC. But in turn, we will sell to smaller OMCs who cannot afford to buy those quantities that we buy.
Let me just exhaust this. I think he was driving at an area to see at what level can an OMC tamper with the quality of the product. He was just, this way he was saying, whether you join with them and bring it, because if you do join with other OMCs to bring in a product at the depot, so we would assume that the quality has to be the same. But you get a certain OMCs that you tell you their product is substandard, and those some products are good quality. So I think it's possible to say at which level can somebody tamper with the quality of the product.
As far as our operations are concerned, it will be very difficult to tamper with the quality of the product. What happens sometimes is the depot will commingle products. What that means is Gnpc can have a consignment of 5,000 metric tons. Jar Oil will bring an additional consignment of 5,000 metric tons. Instead of segregating the two consignments, they'll put it all in the same tanks. That is called commingling the products. But even with that, what happens is the product would be tested and it would be within the country specifications. And then once it is within their tolerance level, we don't have a problem with that. But when we have product of a very good quality, like what happened with our petrol, we've been receiving petrol that the colorization is like olive oil. We spoke to the depot and pleaded that our petrol doesn't get commingled, because if you commingle the product with another consignment of a lower quality, it would have diluted the effect. Yeah. So, but again, at the level of the depot, you bring in product, it is within your the depot's tolerant requirements. Another person the same thing. So the depot has the right to put all the products in one tank.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I just want to know the process of buying or new deals with this particular company. Is it approved? Yes. Whether did you have any direct contact with their representative, or was it online communication?
Well, usually we deal with them. Our procurement guy, our procurement manager, would always send out RFQs, that is the request for quotations, and they respond directly to us. And then based on that, when we do our evaluations and they happen to be the most responsive, we conclude transactions with them.
Okay, as a shareholder is in Petroleum, what is Gnpc? Gnpc, is it update road? oversight role.
Okay, I will ask that this is a direct question. Based on this approach transaction, I just want to know who tested the product for you to be able to confirm the quality of the product, like the body responsible for the testing.
Well, usually, are you finished? Okay, usually that is the prerogative of the depot. The depot deals with the traders, and they would have appointed an international firm like SGS who would have conducted the the testing prior to receipt and delivery of the product.
When you talk about the depot, which depot are we talking about?
In this case is the one on the discussion, Petroleum.
Okay, as a shareholder in Petroleum, what is the role of Gnpc as far as your oversight role is concerned?
Well, if you look at the shareholding of Petroleum, Gnpc owns 12.9%, and there are other institutional bodies in this country that also own shares, and also a private company. So by virtue of our shareholdings, we have a board, and the board is responsible for the oversight of Petroleum, but the day-to-day operations of Petroleum rests with its management team.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. MD, you have been talking about specification. What specification do we know, do the Gambian normally order? The specification of the product.
Well, there is a country specification. It's called Quality Technical Specification. The tolerance level that determines the maximum and the minimum. So prior to receipt and discharge of any petroleum product, the shipper would have issued a certificate of quality, but then the depot, whether it's Petroleum or GPS, would test to ensure that the product they are carrying actually conforms to the certificate, because product can be tampered with from the shipment point to the delivery point. So usually, like I said, an independent firm like SGS would have conducted the testing, and once the depot believes that based on the test results it is acceptable within the country, then they can receive the product. A sample of the country specification looks like that.
Okay, all that I'm seeing is what is required.
Yes. Yes, like I said,
In your receipt with ultimate pay. That I think, I don't know whether it was the one that you rectified.
yes. So, like I said, it's all part of the. So that was the certificate of analysis that came with that product.
And this is standard for them.
It is within the acceptable standard.
Okay. Then
I cannot remember, perhaps in the 2020. Yeah.
well,
Perhaps 2020.
so it looked like Apodi was given a presidential treatment.
No, Apodi just came. Apodi just came. Trafigura has been in the market. Prior to 2016, Trafigura Domino.
Yeah, you were not trading with your previous husbands.
No,
What
no, no.
would be the reason since you are telling me from 2020, 2021? Was it that Trafigura was not in the market?
Look, a lot of other companies, but like I said, look, when Apodi hits and then buy product outright from RFQs to each and every trader, and they try to get the most responsive trader. And there were times that Apodi was not the most responsive trader, and we didn't deal with that in terms of pricing. But also there were times that they were.
Earlier on, you have Apodi FZC, Apodi Gambia Limited.
I think this point was discussed a little while, and like I said, to us the most important thing was we send us an invoice on where to be, and we would just do that.
Okay. If I should tell you Apodi Gambia Limited is registered in the Gambia, so meaning you are dealing with a local trader and an international trader.
You see, like I said, the most important thing is we are buying product, and then we have been given an accountability, and then we
Then I will tell you about these two questions. Now, this question. In what language is the SES certification? In which language? The SES
in French.
So,
But because SES is based in Dakar,
So it's a journalist company, right?
it is an international company, but the closest testing point is in Senegal.
Okay. Yes.
just quickly. This is just a quick confirmation. Do you know anything about fuel scarcity in the period when Apodi
Petroleum has been operating under the premise of force majeure and what I could recollect.
But do you think that's sense? And you being a big stakeholder in Petroleum, do you think that is really a good thing to do?
No, well, if you ask me, I would even say that we would have the foresight to ask Gnpc. I would fight for that.
Exactly. All right. Thank you. Now, I just want to get this also. Do you have a procurement policy?
At the level of Gnpc?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Can you share the policy with us?
Okay, we will.
All right. Then, are we okay?
Yeah.
Now, I would just like you to confirm whether or any of your senior management like procurement or the deputy managing director, have you met the following people in person? 1. Orimas Stylus. 2. Nana Kofi Amako Adu. 3. Tatiana Volkovskaya. Have you met any of these people? And have you met any of these people in person?
Yes.
Any of your people?
Yes, I recollect Mr. Arumas and Mr. Nana, and I believe this Mr. Nana came to Gnpc with the GM of Petroleum. That was at the beginning to introduce them as new suppliers into the market.
And when you say the GM of Petroleum, who exactly is he?
Mr. Yao, Mr. Yoro.
Okay. So it was Europe that introduced you to those people that met?
Yes, they came in as a team.
Okay. And also the last thing, I just want to confirm that based on the information you provided to us here today, you've dealt with Apoyi Limited Gambia, you've dealt with Apoyi FZE, Apoyi FZC, Ultimate Village Apoyi FZC, and Ultimate Village Logistics, all for the same thing.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
MD, thank you so much with your team here. Really very much happy for the engagement. This has brought us to the tail of our engagement with you. Notwithstanding, I want to request for the National Petroleum to